So we'll start. I know like we actually gone through like different extensions, and we do have few more extensions left. So mostly we'll complete now in few minutes so that we can start actually Tableau. But what actually like what is Tableau bookmark, Tableau map source, and Tableau preferences?
Hey Ramesh,
Yes.
sorry, before we start, I want to express a little bit of my opinion. Mm?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I just want.
So we have Tableau bookmarks, Tableau map source, and Tableau preferences. So majorly we don't use Tableau bookmarks in real time, but let me showcase what actually bookmarks it is. You know, basically in bookmarks, like in browser, right? So web pages, if you want to use frequently, you can make use of that particular web link as a bookmark. Whatever the web page you're going to use bookmark, when you click on that, the snapshot of page, you're going to get the same page. So whether it is a home page or some other page, right? But in Tableau, so you can create a report, right? You can, let's create a report here, and let's say if you apply color on top of segment and something like that, and you can go back to window, you can create a bookmark here. You can see you can create a bookmark, and I do have a lot of bookmarks created. Correct, I have existing bookmarks. So the extension for bookmark is like .tbm. So I'll showcase that. So now you can see when you create, I didn't created any bookmark, but let's go back to sheet 2. And this is what I created, right? Like this is the bookmarks which I created. So if you want to open the existing bookmark, simply you can come down and let's say click on customer region wise sales. It will open straight away. You can see I'm able to open that bookmark. You understand, right? So if you want to open an existing bookmark straight away, let's say I do have US state wise sales report. You can clearly see in the bottom here customer wise region wise sales report, and here you can see United States wise sales report. Correct, it was opening directly, but where we can save the bookmarks. So go back to my Tableau repository, the first folder you can see bookmarks. So whenever you're going to save that work or like sheet as a bookmark, that particular sheet will save as separately as a bookmark. You can see this is Tableau bookmark, and you can see a red strip on for this particular icon or whatever the symbol we are seeing. Okay, so you can create a bookmark, let's say for the sheet 1. So let's say this is window, create a bookmark. Okay, and you can save this as your bookmark, let's say like sample sheet, save. Okay, so now go back to new sheet, and if you want to open an existing bookmark, that's what the point here. If you want to open an existing bookmark, go back to window, bookmark. So sample sheet, correct, which we created, right? So click on the sample sheet. Again, you can open that sample sheet bookmark. So if you already created few of the bookmarks and you stores in your local PC or whatever the system you're working on, and you think, okay, I just want to open this bookmark, I want to use, because this is one of the important visualization, I just want to check, because I know it's not possible to search those workbooks, right? Let's say you created this Tableau workbook, and it's very tough to identify. Yes, you can make use, you can save that worksheet like workbook as let's say the charts or whatever the naming convention. But if you make use of bookmark, straight away you can open any of the workbook, but go to window, bookmark, and you can see all the bookmarks which you created. And if you want to see existing bookmarks, so just select that existing bookmark, and you can able to open whatever the sheet you create before. So this is one thing, but as I said, it's not much important in real time. So where you can save few of the sheets as a bookmarks and you can open directly. That's the advantage. Any questions? Simple. Bookmark is like, even if you want to apply any filter, right? And see, I selected central, east, south, and west, right? What is this? Customer wise, region wise sales report. And I saved, now I selected all the 4 regions. But let's go back to bookmark window, bookmark, customer wise, region wise sales. Now we are able to see only central and south, because I saved this instance, right? That is what my point. You saved bookmark with central and south instance, and if you want to save with all the regions, and if you create a bookmark, if you want to reuse, yes, it will open with all the regions. So whatever the selection you have done, if you want to use, if you want to capture that specific selection in the bookmark, yes, you can make use of selecting multiple filters and you can create a bookmark. Okay, but We don't use any bookmarks in real time. That's the point actually. So you don't worry much about that. Okay. So we do have Tableau map sources, that is Tableau TMS file. I'll showcase that example. Basically, we have some map options here. Some map you can see we have background maps. I'll showcase one option here. You have satellite view, right? So there are different visualizations, views actually. So you can see map layers, and we have satellite, dark mode. Okay, so we have a lot of options actually. So you can make use of that specific modes, light mode and outdoors. Okay, so and still we have a lot of options. I'll showcase that actually. So I'll showcase the advantage of map layers, and also like the TMS file, which I have a couple of examples. I have NASA related one, so which is I'll showcase that example. But the satellite view is also very powerful, like with map box, right? You can see initially we have only OpenStreetMap, but Tableau have tied up with Mapbox, which will give you more clarity and more visualized maps actually. Okay, so I'll get back to this. So I'll showcase complete map related topics. So we'll go through that. So no need to worry about that. Clear? So this is what Tableau TMS file, Tableau map source. So this is not like it's a different view actually, different view, satellite or all this. So similarly, satellite, outdoors, dark mode. So I'll showcase NASA related one, and I'll also showcase few more examples on this. Okay. So we have .tps. .tps is one of the interesting one. In all projects, we don't use .tps, but this is one of the advantage where it's a color palette. So it's a color palette. Basically, we have, I'll showcase one more. I will showcase the advantage here. So in general, we have marks card, right? So let me showcase an example here. So let's say I have category wise sales report. Okay. And let me create a bar graph. So when you look into the data, sales into labels, when you look into the data, let's swap and sort it out. So based on the value, like I used descending order. So if you want to apply a color condition, right? So let's say if you drag and drop category into color. So I want to apply color based on category, or let's swap and let's drag and drop category into rows. Now I can see I do have category wise, subcategory wise sales, correct? Now I used category into color. So click on this color. You have an option called as edit color. Mostly you can see there are a lot of colors, right? A lot of color palettes or these color options, color codes are available. So click on this drop down. You can go for Tableau 10 or Tableau 20 colors, right? And you can see traffic light, right? So we have different color codes. So actually you can use all this. So there are light colors, thicker colors, right? You can capture these. But what I mean to say is you have an option, like basically, let me come back to this point. Sometimes, most of the organizations, they want to use their own color palette. Okay. They know color palette in the sense they'll give you the color code. Let's say if they have a logo, or if let's say this is an example, right? Furniture, office supplies and technology. So they don't want to use different colors. So they will say that, hey, can you follow only this color palette? Okay. So let's say, can you go for like RGB color coding? Let's say RGB color coding as 99, 99 and 99, 99 and 99, something like a gray, or let me use, okay, let's say 165, 165 and 165. Okay. So if you prefer 165, then you can see I'm getting gray color. So you are going to get this complete information, right? So RGB color code. So sometimes they will provide RGB color coding. So prefer only this color code, or sometimes they will give you the color palettes. Mostly they will give you the RGB color code. But if you want to capture this RGB color code 165, 165, 165 every time, right? You have to come back and you need to pick the color, right? So you need to type in 165, 165, 165. What I mean to say is you are getting this HTML code, correct? When you select 165, all the color palettes, you're able to see the HTML code. The advantage of this HTML code is you can copy this and you can create your own color palette something like this drop down, you can see we have RGB color code, RGB color, my second color palette, right? These two, just concentrate on these two. This is what we created. Let me showcase. So in the folder, in my Tableau repository, when you install Tableau software, in my Tableau repository, when you scroll down, you'll get a file called as Tableau preferences file. You can see Tableau preferences. Right click, open with Notepad. Now this is the XML code actually. So even you can also see in your local PC because we already installed. When you look into your like Tableau preferences file, I think you will find only this XML version workbook, right? So this is what I created. So RGB color code, and let's say this is my color palette or something like that. I'm just changing. I'm just changing the naming convention. Let's say organization color palette. Okay, organization colors or colors. So I just named here RGB color. So I actually copied the gray color one, right? Do you remember? So in the RGB color code, I used some colors. I captured some of these HTML color code. Okay. I'm sorry. So let me remove this. Let's go for only 3 colors. The first one, right? I'm going to use gray color. I'm copying this A5, 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 right? I captured this. You can see A5, A5, A5. I copied from here. And even you can see here in my second color palette, you don't have gray color, right? Because I changed the naming convention to org color. So one is RGB color code. Instead of my second color palette, I changed to organization, org color code. Okay, this is org colors, organization colors. Organization colors. Okay, complete naming convention. I use gray color here. Let's save. Okay, so because I want to reuse that color code, that's what I meant to say. Now let's save this workbook. Color palettes. Let me close this. Okay, I actually changed the preferences file, right? This one I saved. Let me close this workbook. Now let's come back to this workbooks and this color palettes. So let's reopen. Because of multiple sheets we loaded right initially, like as a bookmarks, that's the reason it took some time. But now go back to color, edit colors, click on drop down. You can see in the organization color, what is the first color? You understand, right? A5, A5, A5. Clear? So that's what initially it was my second color palette, the naming convention. Now I changed the organization color. So similarly, you can go back to Tableau preferences file. So go back to Tableau preferences file, and whatever the color palette, if you want to edit, right? If you want to capture that color palette, so you can open the notepad and go back to Tableau, and you can double click. And if you want to pick a color, let's say if you want to capture this color from screen, you can see. So whatever the color, if you want to capture this color, you can copy this and you can paste there in the notepad here. So if you want to clear another color palette, let's copy this, click enter. Right? And in place of here, this color code, you can go back to Tableau. And as I say, right, you can pick a screen color. Let's say you want to capture this A5972B, and you can copy paste here A5972B, and you can reload. So file, save. Similarly, you can add n number of color palettes. So if you want to reuse, let's say you have to create, let's say 10 worksheets, right? There are 10 worksheets you need to create, and you have to apply some of the custom colors. So every time you need to pick some of the colors, right? So in that case, you can have your own color palette. That's what the point here. We have Tableau 10, Tableau 20. Similarly, the summer, winter colors, right? Similarly, you can create your own color palettes. That's what Tableau preferences file. Okay. But generally you don't worry, because whatever the color you are going to use, you can capture, you have a lot of color palettes. But if you want to consolidate, if you want to place all the color palettes, whatever the colors you're going to use in one single option, the one single color palette, you have to create your own color palette. That's the option here. Clear? Anyhow, you'll get to know, like that's not an issue actually. So that's what those three are optional, so not mandatory. We are not going to use in real time. Any question? Hold off, if you want, you can join with the mobile for audio, as I said, right? So your internet connection, some issues with your internet connection. So now let's jump on to Tableau basics. So now whatever we have seen right earlier, okay. Yes, we have gone through a few of the options, but yeah, I'll showcase each and every point one more time. See, like when you connect, right? So whenever you're going to connect to any of the database, you can just drag and drop a table here, right? And we discussed about live connection and extract connection, correct? And you can also see the sample columns. So whatever the columns present in that particular table, you can view some sample data. Default, you're going to get 1,000 records. But if you want to view complete information, yes, you can type in, let's say 2000. And if you want to load 2000 records here, yes, you can load, but this, it's not mandated to load from here. We have a flexibility to load or to view the data from here as well, view data. Okay. So click on view data. So you can check the complete information. So you can see 9,994 records. That's a view data. This is what the actual data we do have. So I'll come back to a few of the options, but when you click on sheet in Tableau, we do create sheets, worksheets, dashboards, and stories. Okay. So we do create sheets, dashboards, and stories. So majorly, we are going to work on worksheets and dashboards. Okay. Majorly, like stories, rarely we are going to create a story, but 99% I can tell you, like we do create dashboards mostly for the users, right? So we'll get the requirement to create a dashboard mostly. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Now go back to Tableau. So first of all, you can see I loaded one of the table, right? Orders table. What if you are going to load one more table? Let's say I'm going to load people table, right? So now let's go back to sheet one. Okay, now you can see here tables. You're getting both orders table and people table, correct? Separately, you can see both orders table and people's table. And in people table, we have person and region column. And in the orders table, we have all these columns. You understand, right? So this is one point. Basically, if you have multiple tables, yes, we are going to pull multiple tables in real time. Instead of tables, if you want to go for group by folder structure, so you don't have like tables option, right? You don't have tables. So straight away it will showcase all the columns from whatever the measures and dimensions, right? So we are going to get all this information, but you don't have a specific naming convention or separation based on table related columns. So just right click on any of the column, folders, group by, you can see folder, right? Or you can also go for data source table. So when you select data source table, when you pull multiple tables, you'll get a table structure, correct? Clear? So this is one point, but let's remove this table. Only we'll go for one table for now, just to understand things better. Importantly, whenever you're going to load the data into Tableau, very important point is 90% or 99% of the cases, it will identify proper dimension and measure. Okay, you're getting the point, right? I can say 99 or let's say more than 95 in a safer side. It will identify, Tableau will identify whether it is a dimension or a measure. So before 2020.2 version, yes, we have a proper naming convention, like whatever the tables heading you can see, right? We have this in place of tables, we have dimensions. Here we have measures properly segregated. We have a proper naming convention initially, but as I said now, they didn't given any option says that, okay, this is a dimension and this is a measure. Okay, but we have a flexibility to identify. You can just pick any column and try to place here in dimensions. You have a line separation. You can see you have a line separation, and it clearly shows that, hey, above all our dimensions and below all our measures. They didn't given the naming convention, but yes, they are giving some information when you when you place a column here. Whenever you're trying to move this sales into dimensions, you can clearly see this is dimension and this is measure. So these are measures: discount, profit, quantity, sales. The green color are called as measures, and you can see these are all dimensions. Okay, is that clear? So blue colored ones are dimensions and green colored ones are measures. You can ask few of the things. What is latitude, longitude? It clearly shows that this is generated. Okay, you know, longitude values, latitude values, basically these are numeric values, right? Or floating values. But that's the reason these are generated fields. The orders count is also generated. Okay, this is also we are going to get by default. You can see when you mouse over a generated field that counts the number of records in the orders table. So whatever the table you're going to pull into Tableau, default, you're going to get a default column called as orders count. Clear? So this is what a dimension and a measure differentiation. Let me know if you have any questions. Importantly, we have rows and columns, okay, and marks card, filters, pages. I'll tell you each and every point here, and you have show me, okay, this show me button. But one of the advantage in Tableau, I have seen in other reporting tools, this functionality is mostly not available. But one of the exceptional point in Tableau is, yes, it's not complicated, but why it is important, I do feel, is like, you can see, let's say if you want to search, right, you may have a lot of columns. Okay, you may have a lot of columns, and generally we used to search, let's say country field. Yes, country, by default you can capture here because we do have less number of dimensions and measures, right? We don't have more than 20 or 30 plus records, 30 plus columns. Correct. If you have 100 columns, let's say if you have 10 tables and if you have around 150 to 200 columns, then majorly we used to search. Correct. If you know the naming convention, let's say customer wise sales or subcategory wise sales, instead of searching from here, subcategory, and drag and drop into rows, one of the flexibility in Tableau they have given is just concentrate here, double click, you can type in here itself. You can see subcategory, you're getting subcategory, click enter, click one more time enter, or double click. Okay, so remove this. I want to create subcategory by sales, subcategory, and double click on columns, type in sales. That's it. Even you don't search and or you can drag and drop. You understand the point, right? So if you want to create, let's say subcategory wise, region wise, you can type in region. Clear? So that's the flexibility we do have in Tableau. You can type in here to create those reports, but we don't prefer every time to type in, right? Because let's say if you have more number of columns, I mean to say if you have a lot of columns, then the best solution you can see is type in. So when you type in profit, right, you have to type in complete naming convention, PROFIT. But when you click on P, you're getting a lot of options. Again, you need to reduce the thing. So PROF. So if I want to pull profit, yes, you can scroll down. You can use cursor, you can use mouse, and you can click enter to get that information. But what I mean to say is, this is one of the option where you can simply double click and you can place those, or you can get that information in the sheet level. Okay. Any questions here? So, but if you want to drag and drop into color, you have to pick from, let's say if you want to apply region into color. So from left hand side, just drag and drop region into color. I'll get back to this, marks card and all those options, right? Region, subcategory, and sales. And even if you want, let's say you said, right, so you already typed in here, you have already region. Why don't you drag and drop region into color? You can ask that, right? So don't do that. You have another option. Don't drag and drop region directly from here, right? If you want to apply region wise color, I'll get back to this color marks card. Use control and drop region into color. You have region in the columns, and even you can also place region into color. So what I mean to say is you can use control, you can select control and drag from with mouse, drop into color. Okay. So it's, if you feel this is complicated, let's search for region and just drag and drop into color. That's it. Okay. So this is what the advantage of rows and columns. And basically you can double click, right? And there are have seen a couple of scenarios where few questions asked, right? Basically when you double click, where it goes default, whether it goes to columns or rows, right? When you double click on region, it goes to rows. When you double click on order date, it goes to columns sometimes, right? You can see it's coming in columns. So it's not mandatory. You don't worry about this. There is some functionality, but you don't worry about whether it comes in rows and columns, right? Basically, as I said, what is the advantage is, like, let's say you have region by sales and default it comes in rows. If you want to swap, you can swap. You can move that into column wise. You have the swap button, swap rows into columns and columns into rows. Okay. So don't worry about a few of the functionalities. And let's say if you double click on segment, and segment comes under columns, right? And let's say double click on category, it comes under columns. But when you double click on state field, it comes to rows. There are certain criteria I have just verified. I have gone through few of the options, and I saw that if there is a parent and child one-to-many relationship, for not like 90% of the case, I do feel like if there is a one-to-many relationship, whether it is a parent and child, mostly that comes under columns, that comes under rows, sorry. And if it is not related, let's say category is not a parent and child, right? Category is a different dimension. When you compare with geographical data, right? This is region, state, city, that's a geographical data. But category, when you double click, it comes under columns. Okay. So that's what the point, right? When you double click on city, so where it goes? Any idea when you double click on city, whether it comes under columns or rows? Anyone?
Rows.
Double click on city. So now you can see we expected to comes under rows, but it's coming into columns. So basically what I mean to say is let's showcase from scratch. We have country. Let me use country and double click on region. It comes under rows. Double click on state. Even it comes under rows. But what is happening is with city, it's a parent and child, country to region, region to state. It's a parent and child relationship, but it's not coming into columns. So that's what I mean to say. 90% we have a success assumption, right? If that is a parent and child relationship, so we may get that into rows. Even let's check with postal code. Postal code is coming in rows, right? This looks better, but what is the problem with city? We are not sure. So that's the thing. So basically you don't think about this actually. That's what my point. So you don't worry about whether it is in rows or columns, whatever the dimensions or measures, you can simply type in, double click, you can type in and you can place that column. That's the flexibility we do have here. Okay. Any questions with rows and columns?
I have a question, Ramesh.
Yeah.
So is it only Microsoft that is the data source that we can work on Tableau? I know you have several, but are you going to showcase other data sources apart from Microsoft Excel?
That's a good question. So basically, yes, I tried installation of some databases, and because of the computer slowness, right? So it will slow down actually. Let's say I'm going to drop one more dimension into, let's say when I drop product name here, it will take time to get this report done. So my computer will slow down with a limited RAM space, 8 GB RAM. But when you install any of the database, right, it will take some time. So you don't worry much actually. So because in real time, they will give you the database credentials. But even if you want to install, go for the installation part. Yes. If you can install, like if you want to install Oracle or SQL Server, I can suggest, yes, you can try to get installation of Oracle and SQL Server or any of the database, right? But what I mean to say is you don't worry much about that. But mostly why I do prefer the sample superstore data in the sense, in certification exam as well, even this is the simple data where we can remember and we can relate with some set of examples. And in certification exam, we do have 90% of the similar kind of a data. So we do have sample superstore, which is almost similar kind of a data they are going to give even in certification exam as well. So that's the reason I do prefer. And this data is very interesting. There are a lot of options which I can relate, right? That's the reason we have a proper, and this is also given by Tableau, right? This data source is provided by Tableau itself, correct? So that is the reason I'm preferring this data source. So when you install any of the version, you can see the sample superstore data. Yes, I have other data source as I showed. Do you remember, like we have Microsoft Access, right? I shared tutorial data, which is 100 MB. That also helps a lot, right? That data source is completely like Snowflake, which helps a lot to if you want to work with. And I have another data source like Microsoft Access Let's go for data sources. And you have sample coffee chain. This is also, I'm going to showcase these coffee chain data as well. So what I mean to say is like, if you want, yes, you can install the database. If required any help, for sure, I'm going to help you out for the installation. But basically the problem is like, yes, we have some performance issues. When you install this database, we don't work with database mostly while practicing, because if you feel like if your computer is very slow, the performance is slow, then obviously you're going to uninstall. Because I have done a lot of installations and I do have done a lot of things, and I felt okay, let's leave that. So
I guess my question is, if you work on, let's say, Microsoft Access, is this going to be the interface? It will be like you have this Excel. Is it going to be laid out in tables and then in sheets like you have this, or it's a different layout entirely?
whatever the data source you're going to connect,
Mm-hmm.
it's not related actually. So you can connect to any of the data, right? You can connect to SAP HANA, Salesforce, Oracle, SQL Server,
Mm-hmm.
like Teradata, AWS, Amazon Redshift, Postgres, any data. Tableau interface is same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, great.
That's what I meant to say. Yes,
Oh,
you
so
can
it's going to
connect.
be the same like as sheets and data source like you have it here.
Whatever you're seeing the screen, right? It won't change.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
screen won't change. If you
Okay.
want to create different visualizations, yes, you can do that. You can create
Okay.
different visualizations, right? So
Okay.
it won't change.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's clear, right, about rows and columns, correct? So you can type in, double click, you can type in, or you can drag and drop. Okay. So we do have marks card. What is the advantage of marks card? Okay, let's say we have subcategory wise sales or profit. So I can create a bar graph from here. I'll tell you what actually all these options. So now let's say drag and drop profit into label just to showcase the number, right? The profit value. Okay. I'll tell you what actually label, but you can see here. So we do have subcategory wise profit, correct? And there are few negative values. If you look into this data, there are few negative values, negative profit here for tables, bookcases, and supplies. So we have this marks card. You have this drop down. I'll tell you how it helps. Okay. But we have, what are all the options we have? Color, size, labels, detail, tooltip. What actually color? If you want to go for a static color, whatever the color you want, you can select. Okay. You can select those colors if it is static. But I want to write a color condition. I want to write a color condition. So what is the color condition? So I just want to say, like showcase that. So if there are some negative values, right? If profit is less than 0, okay, then I want to showcase that in red color. If profit value is greater than 0, I want to showcase these bar graphs in green color. Understand the requirement, right? If profit greater than 0, profit greater than or equal to 0, then how to showcase in green, else I want to showcase in red in color. Okay, got the requirement? Profit greater than 0, then green, else red. So now instead of going for this color, I can write a condition, right? But where we have this condition, we don't have actually this condition existing here in existing tables. So you need to create a calculation. So I'll tell you, this calculations is like, it's a huge topic. We have a lot of calculations functions. We'll go through each and every step by step process. So now I'm writing a simple if condition. If sum of profit greater than or equal to 0, then I want to showcase in green, correct? You can type in else red, and this is the logic. So this is the condition I'm using here, color indicator. So if you want to use the logic, the complete formula, I can paste here. If sum of profit greater than 0, this is the calculation I have written. If sum of profit greater than or equal to 0, then green, else red. So now just drag and drop this color indicator into color. So what is happening here with the default functionality is, this is not red and this is not green, correct? So this is blue color, this is orange, correct? But what we have done is like, we have to showcase if profit greater than 0, this one have to showcase in green, else in red color. So go back to color. edit color, we have this green and red. If you already have green color in this automatic or whatever the drop downs you have here, if you already have those colors available, you can assign select green and just click on this green. For red, select red and you can see, click on this red, click apply, click OK. Now you can see here, so there are 3 negative values and we are getting in red in color and remaining all are in green color. You understand, right? So remove the color. I actually applied color indicator into color. Remove the color. So we don't have any color condition applied. Whenever you're going to, this is one time assigning. Once you assign the color palette or once you assign the color code, which is green and red, when you drag and drop color indicator into color, default you're going to get green and red color because you already assigned the color to this calculation. You understand, right? So this is what the advantage of color palette and colors. You can write a condition. Yes, I'll tell you how to write those conditions, but basically, so you can write a condition and if you want to display, let's say you can also sort it out, swap, right? And if you have a region wise, drop region, and you can see wherever you have negative values, it clearly shows all are negative. Clear? Even I can showcase multiple options, but let's put aside. So I just placed region into columns to showcase region wise. So when you place region wise, obviously if there are negative values, yes, we applied the same condition, which is sales or profit greater than 0, then green, else red. Any questions here? Any questions? Let me know here. So this is what color. So basically you can write color conditions or even you can also use some of the dimensions or measures to apply the color. Okay. We have size. See, like majorly we are going to use marks card in most of the situations, 90% in each and every report, right? I'll try to use few of the things in marks card. Okay. No need to worry about that. So whatever I'm explaining here, let's say rows and columns, every time we are going to place in rows or columns, right? This is regular process. Okay. You don't think that this topic is completed. Every time we are going to use marks card, rows and columns, filters, and all these options. So let's say I have region wise sales. And, or let's say, even if you have region wise or subcategory wise, let's use subcategory wise sales. Why I'm going to use subcategory, I'll tell you, because we have a lot of subcategories. Let's sort it out. Okay. Let's sort based on a value. Now you have size, right? If you want to increase the size, right? If you want to increase the size of the bar, yes, you can increase the size of the bar. Or if you want to decrease the size of the bars, you can decrease the size of the bars. So there are few requirements where they want to go for only a particular size. Okay. In that case, this is what the option. Okay. And if you want to differentiate the size based on a value, right? Let's say based on a value, highest the value, I can see the width size is more. So when you see the differentiation, let me drag and drop sales into size, you'll understand. So you can see here in the presentation mode, the size of the bar is like the size, the height, and anyhow height, it depends on the axis value. But the width of the bar, you can see changing based on the value. Based on the value, you can see the width is changed, correct? So lowest the value, you can see the lesser the width, correct? Any questions here? You can also apply sales into color to get diverging color. And you can also use sales into size to differentiate the size of the bar. So, okay, so I'll tell you like the advantages of size. So we have a lot of options to go with size. Okay, a regular process. Color and size plays a major role. Okay, these two are very, very important. And we have labels. Let me know if you have any questions, as I said. So, and you can also stop if you feel like we are good. Okay. In the labels, right? Label, you have some of the options. When you show marks card, right? When you show mark labels, it will showcase the information of the bar, like what is the sales information, right? So it's on top of bar. Yes, you can showcase that. Or even, let's say if you feel like this approach is not good, right? Let's say for subcategory phones, I'm able to see sales value, but chase, are we getting the chase value? No. So it's like one by one, right? So you don't have data for storage on top of this, and you don't have data for machines. Clear? So what I mean to say, sometimes you need to align. So we can see alignment. So I can go for this alignment. You can see horizontal and vertical alignment, where you can showcase the same data, okay, in the vertical or horizontal alignment. Clear, right? So there are a lot of options actually. So, and you have custom. You can change the font. If you feel this font is bigger, you can change the font from 9 to like 8, or even 6. You can type in, actually you don't have a 6 in the drop down, but you can type in. Clear? Any questions? So this is what color, size, label. So we do have detail section. Like, I'll explain what is actually detail, but let me know if you have any questions still here.
If-
Yes.
When are we going to have access so we can rewatch some of these videos?
I actually given access to the videos, but I need to place in one single page, but I'll tell you how to access. Okay. Let me save this. Mostly I'll work today to place in one single page. Okay. I'll update you. So actually
Okay.
given the access till now, whatever we completed, you have access. You might receive some of the emails, but I'll inform you today. So mostly I'll work on that today and I'll get back to you. I'll give you the web page actually.
Okay, great. Thank you.
For the previous recordings, right? So we have, I do have a website,
Mhm.
analytics45.com. Okay. So in this analytics45.com, because we are going for the new recorded sessions, so there is a tab called as Tableau videos. Okay. You can see Tableau class videos. So you don't have any access generally. This is the older in the sense, this is the videos which I do use to give access, but I need to place the new videos. So you can see something like the step by step. So first one is data warehouse class 1, class 2, data warehouse class, and differentiation between .twb and .twbx, and marks card. We have filters. So something like this. So I need to arrange something like this for you as well, for your videos. So I'll work. I'm working on it actually. So I have some issues on last Saturday and Sunday. Mostly I will resolve today, and I'll place something. I'll arrange your video something like this, like mostly weekly basis, so that
Sounds good.
you can access, you can view those videos. Okay. No worries. I'll provide the link and each and every steps for you. So no need to worry about that.